With that, I give the call to the most honourable member for Newcastle.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, and it is with great pleasure that I rise to speak on the package before the House today of nature-positive bills, because after 10 years of environmental neglect, we really have a lot of work to make good on those past wrongs and those actions that were not taken when they were perhaps most timely needed to be taken. Still, one should always aim to make amends, and so making up for those past wrongs is very much a part of the package that is before the Parliament today. The Albanese Labor government is indeed committed to ensuring that our precious and irreplaceable natural environment is repaired and it continues to be nurtured and protected so that the environmental vandalism of the past remains in the past. There was a very strong platform coming into this government when we took our policies out to the Australian public. We promised a strong national independent environmental protection agency that would be that tough cop on the beat, and today we are delivering on that. That is an important part of this package. And in my region, I'll go to, the package itself does a number of critical things. One is the delivery on the Environmental Protection Agency, but it also has got some important work around the Environmental Information Australia and establishing that. We'll come to that. And a number of other important matters, but I will just, for the time being, say that the issue of establishing a National Environment Protection Authority for Australia is one that has been long requested by my community. We first came across this need when we had to tackle the PFAS contamination issues around the Air Force Base at Williamtown in my friend and electoral neighbour, the member for Patterson's electorate. And what was really critical and missing at that time was having any kind of national kind of overview and capacity to act in a coordinated fashion, to not just deal with matters of treatment of the PFAS now, but to ensure adequate protections going forward and to do some of that detailed work on it. It was a recommendation in inquiries that I took part on, and member for Patterson led again in the following parliament. So the establishment of an Environmental Protection Australia is great news for the people around in Patterson, for the people around Katherine, all those areas that we've subsequently found PFAS to be such a big issue. That is just one example, really, of why you need a proper national body that is well coordinated and well managed to do the work. And as I said, it was something, really that my community was alive to through that experience of PFAS, but through many others as well, which I will come to. But a national EPA will ensure compliance with environmental laws that do in turn ensure that nature is protected while supporting the sustainable development of and industries that are wanting to do the right thing. So, this isn't some pretense that this is a pristine world where humans are not interacting with environment, but we're making sure that those people that do engage in properly thought through sustainable development options, and we have industries that work in that space too, have a national EPA body that they can trust and work with, and that has the trust of our communities to be always upholding the protection of our environment front of mind. A national EPA will also streamline regulatory decision-making and restore public trust in environmental law, and which has been significantly eroded after a decade of neglect and sometimes open vandalism. The current regulatory system is broken, and this is widely agreed to by all parties. So it is a rare day when you will have all your environmental groups alongside those doing business and development all agreeing that the current regulatory system is broken. And the EPA, that is part of this package of bills now, it's designed to fix that. We recognise system broken, needs to be fixed. This is our mechanism to do that. It'll provide tougher penalties for people who do the wrong thing, as it should, for making careless or deliberately unlawful operators think twice about breaking environmental laws. We need those disincentives to be powerful, and it will improve the processes for businesses, providing more certainty and reducing red tape, which will be a welcome relief from the current complex bureaucracy and uncertainty. But most importantly, a National Environmental Protection Authority will protect our unique natural environment. That is its primary job. Our unique native plants and animals, many of them who are now facing extinction due to years of environmental mismanagement. And I know that my office would not be alone in this regard. The level of anxiety that is expressed by many, particularly our young environmentalists, all of whom are very well schooled now through the education system about extinction of our precious mammals and indeed much of our flora. That is what is uniquely Australian, and so making every effort to both stem those extinctions. We've made some very strong commitments around sort of not, zero new extinctions. It's a very important step for the Australian Parliament to be taking, and this agency will have a particular focus on land clearing and the deforestation, which of course is the single biggest cause of extinctions. And I've got to say, this will be very welcome news for my favourite Australian bird, the rare freckled duck. And the freckled duck is endemic to Australia and predominantly found in the eastern interior of the country, being wetland dependent. It's drought, habitation destruction and hunting that continue to put untold pressure on the freckled duck numbers. And thankfully, since 1993, the Hunter Wetlands Centre in my electorate of Newcastle, which I just note was once, a site of great, it was a dumping ground basically for a lot of industrial waste, which is now a Ramsar internationally recognised wetland. So a perfect example of what can happen. This is the habitat now for the very endangered freckled duck, and we have been running a captive breeding program to conserve the freckled duck numbers, and which has since become the largest captive population in Australia. So my community is playing a very important role in the protection of this particular freckled duck species that's now endangered, on the verge of extinction. We're doing our part to try and turn that around, and legislation that we're putting before the Parliament today is going to help us in this regard. I do want to say a very big, deep personal thanks to the Hunter Wetlands Centre. Their amazing community of volunteers and their excellent advocacy and hard work in my community. It's with deep gratitude that I bring your work to the attention of the Australian Parliament today. And of course, thankfully, the Hunter Wetlands Centre was indeed included in the internationally recognised Hunter Estuary Wetlands Ramsar site back in 2002. providing a much-needed safe haven for the freckled duck. And in 2016, the centre started a program releasing healthy juvenile ducks back into the wild while keeping the captive breeding program operating on site. So, a good news story to share with the Australian Parliament. The program has already helped expand the numbers of this rare and vulnerable species in the wild, and this is a huge success story for the freckled duck. And this Labor government went to the election promising better environmental protections, resulting in many more success stories like the one I've just shared with you today. Through the establishment of the EPA, we will be able to deliver for the freckled duck, for her rare and endangered animal friends, for plant and marine life, and for Australians who love the environment and know what we can do better. And we'll also be able to monitor, this is important, being able to monitor and report on the freckled duck numbers so that we will know if they need our help again in the future through the establishment of the Environmental Information Australia. And that's what this package of bills also enables us to do, to set up the Environment Information Australia. Currently, environment information and data is terribly fragmented, it's of uncertain quality, it's difficult to access and often unusable, so not especially helpful for any of us right now. The EIA this proposed EIA will collect and report on high quality and authoritative environmental data more accurately and with increased frequency to provide for faster, better decision making. And the agency will work collaboratively with Australia's experts on our natural environment. First Nations people who have a deep, intimate connection and knowledge of Australia's unique natural environment. They come with 65,000 plus years of knowledge about those very intricate ecosystems, the exquisite examples of flora and fauna. They are amongst our most respected environmental scientists. They will be working and feeding into that information, Environment Information Australia, along with other environmental experts in their fields. Together, they will collect and provide transparent and precise reporting and accurate evaluation of data and environmental protection laws to inform, good investment, good policy and good regulatory decision-making. That's what the Australian community expects of any government, but it's certainly one that this government, we hold a high bar for what we expect from the agencies and services that we establish, and this will grow a great way to help restore some of that public trust. And of course, these bills also, they're the second of a three-staged approach that the Albanese Labor government, under the direction of the Minister for Environment, the member for Sydney, around this nature positive plan. We've established the world's first nature repair market. That's already been done. That was in the first tranche of legislation, making it easier for landholders, including First Nations people and organisations, conservation groups and farmers, business and charities, to invest in the great work of repairing nature. But we know that there is lots more to do. No one pretends otherwise. This is, our planet's a very important asset to each and every one of us. And Australia will be doing the heavy lifting necessary to ensure that the continent of Australia, at least, is doing everything we can to stem some of that damage and degradation from years of neglect. That's not a position any of us want to go back to. We know that there's the need for the big reforms of the EPBC Act, which we are committed to fully delivering in that next third stage of our Nature Positive Plan. Native forest logging will be regulated by national environmental laws for the first time ever through the National Environmental Standards, and that is part of our National Positive Plan too. There is much more work to do, but you can be assured that this government is deeply committed to delivering the strongest environmental laws this country's ever seen.